I'm so happy that you could be here today. This is called My Sacred Landscape because it is one of my favorite tools that I use when I am connecting in with my spirit guides. And this course came about based on one of my programs that I'm running, The Living Temple. A question had come in around how do you connect with your guides? How do you determine what their personalities are, what energies are coming through? And so I thought, what a beautiful opportunity to create something that I can teach you guys the tools that I use to connect with my guides on a regular basis. So just a little bit about, I know most of you I know, but for those listening to the recording, my name is Christy Jewett. I'm a spiritual channel. I use light language as one of the modalities to connect in with soul healing and frequency work, as well as I do a lot of mentoring for people as on their journeys as spiritual intuitives and working kind of more with the mystical side of things. I started first connecting with spirit when I was 6 years old. My first guide that came through was Yeshua, and that continued to happen throughout my lifetime. So when I was 10, I actually started like clairaudiently channeling Yeshua and the Holy Spirit, and then throughout my teens, I spent a lot of time kind of within the church, but channeling guidance from the Holy Spirit and Yeshua for myself and for my peers around me. And then as I went into my 20s, my clairvoyance as well as some things like prophetic gifts and things like that started to come online, but I didn't fully understand what was happening. Again, I was very much in the context of the church, was how I was kind of referencing my gifts. Moving forward into my 30s, I went through a pretty significant spiritual awakening, which was brought on by a divorce that I went through. And it took me about 10 years to kind of move through the experience of kind of dismantling my belief systems around the church and then bringing in this new belief system around my connection to spirit and myself as an intuitive and being able to kind of access this divine wisdom. And I used many, many different modalities in becoming a spiritual channel, and some of those trainings that I did were subconscious work, which is what a lot of what we're going to be working with today. I did my Reiki Master's training, I did mediumship training, psychic training, and then of course I worked with those modalities for quite a few years, and then my light language dropped in just over a year ago, and that has really kind of catapulted my work to a different frequency, and I am absolutely thrilled to be able to serve people in this way on a daily basis and just be in connection with spirit all the time. So I'm channeling all the time, my spirit guides, your spirit guides. So in my work, as I am teaching these classes, a lot of it is just being channeled and what comes through me. I fully just allow myself to be a vessel of spirit for our highest good and our highest good only. So the techniques I'm going to be teaching you today are kind of where I started really being able to connect with my spirit guides in more of a consistent way, I guess I would say, because my connection with spirit, a lot of time it was just journaling, and I would clairaudiently hear things and I would journal, but I wouldn't necessarily understand who the guides were that were coming in or when it was switching. And I really wanted to create the opportunity to understand my guides and my clients' guides on a deeper level. So what I'm going to be teaching you today is basically a blending of the different techniques I've used over my training, and I kind of blended them all together in a very typical manifesting generator style. You take a little bit of everything and create your own way. And I found this to be a really successful way to consistently connect with my guides. I know for many of us, we will have like those times where we can connect in really easily. And then there's other times where you're like, wow, that, when I pick up the phone to connect with spirit, there's no one on the other end of the line. And it was in those moments that I found that this technique was really, really supportive, because we're creating the neuro pathway. And it's like, oh, I know what we're doing right now. And there's multiple different techniques within this system, I'm going to call it, to help us to get us to this place where we can consistently connect with our guides. So my sacred landscape, what we're going to do here is I'm going to teach you just a little bit about the pathway and how we create and why we're creating it, the different tools that we're using in this. And then I'm going to take you through the journey and the experience of it so that you can come back to this. And one of the pieces around this is we do need to create consistency. If you do this just once, you're not going to create that neural pathway that allows you to access this kind of with a more consistent success, I guess is the way to say it. So this is what we're going to be creating today. So there's multiple layers to this. So one of the first things when we're connecting with our spirit guides, we really need to raise our vibration. Spirit, they run at a different frequency than we do in our human forms. And so in order to connect with them, we need to raise our frequency, because they can only come to kind of a certain, they can't drop their frequency. And so there's this gap between us. And so often this is why when we're in deep sense of grief, it's really hard to connect with our guides. Or if we're really angry, or we're just in the kind of like in the depth of emotion, it can be really hard to connect with our guides. So this simple pathway is going to naturally elevate your frequency. So that's one of the first tools that we need to do when we're connecting with our guides, is raising our frequency. The other piece is bringing in gratitude. Gratitude is such an easy way to raise our frequency. So you're going to see this rainbow pathway that I take you through. We're going to be bringing in thoughts and experiences that we immediately have a sense of gratitude for, because this is a beautiful way to consistently raise our vibration. We're also going to be opening up our multisensory gifts. So our multisensory gifts are our clairs, so clairaudience, clairvoyance, clairsentience, claircognizance, clairoculence, clairgustance. Those are all of our different clairs that we have. So another way of saying that would be clear seeing, clear tasting, clear hearing, clear feeling, clear, I'm missing one, smelling, and clear knowing, right? Like those are the ones that I'm talking about. Those are our main clairs for those that aren't familiar. So as we move through this pathway, I call it the rainbow pathway, we're going to be awakening all of these senses as well. Because as we awaken our multisensory gifts, again, it gives us a better opportunity of understanding who our guides are, how we're connecting them, and expanding our own multisensory gifts. Because our spirit guides, we need to use our multisensory gifts to connect with our spirit guides. We're also going to be activating our chakra system. So I'm going to be just simply using color, but each color represents the 7 chakras. And so as we move through the rainbow pathway, we're clearing and activating our 7 chakras. And in doing this, that also helps us to have more access and clearer access to our spiritual team, and kind of helps to clear some of the distortion out of our field. So that's another layer that we're using. We're going to be putting ourselves into the alpha brainwave state. So the alpha brainwave state is when we're working kind of on a more subconscious level. And when we're working with our subconscious, that's when we see the most impactful change. Our conscious brain is our thinking brain, the one that's active when we're awake and moving. And our alpha, like when our subconscious, we access it in the alpha brainwave state, which can be just in a very meditative state. We can even go into the alpha brainwave state if we're like listening to music or watching a TV show, where we kind of zone out, is how I would say it. So this is the state that we're moving into, and this helps us to access the subconscious, which again helps us to connect more strongly with our spiritual teams in that state. We're also going to be regulating the nervous system. So when we regulate the nervous system, we take ourselves out of that fight or flight kind of state. And we're in fight or flight, our nervous system will shut down. And that also can make it harder to access our spiritual team. It can create more anxiety, and it can also keep us kind of up in the thinking brain, right? And when we're in the thinking brain, the analytical brain, it's really hard to stay connected to our guides, because it's almost like as soon as I get up into my brain, it shuts down my channel. So it's really important that we try to settle the brain. And so in doing this, going into the alpha brainwave state, regulating the nervous system, it allows us to land more fully in our body and out of our thinking brain. So being in that relaxed state is so supportive for that. So we're going to really try to be in our bodies and not up in the mind. And then, as I said earlier, we're creating this neural pathway. We're creating a really safe, sacred space for us to fall into connection with our guides in a way that it becomes like, when I go to this space, I just know my guides are going to be there. I expect them to be there because we're creating this evidence of every time we go in there, our guides are there to meet us. And so when we have this knowing and this expectation, it does, when we kind of do this on repeat, it just becomes this natural flow of where we can connect with our spiritual team. And as I'm creating this pathway for you, as I said, consistency is an important part of it. And when I first started using this system, I was doing it, I will be honest, like every single day for months on end. So as I said, there is something around the consistency. And now for me to drop into this place, I literally can just think about my sacred landscape and I land there, because I've used it so often that it just, I don't need to even kind of go through the entire pathway, but I had to create that pattern for myself to get there. And so this is why there's more of a lead up. We use like the whole rainbow pathway to get there. But in time, I promise, if you're using this on a daily basis, eventually I just see myself slide down that rainbow and I am there, right? So because we know our body, our neural pathways know, oh, we know what we're doing. This is what's going on. And then I can immediately drop into that alpha brainwave state. Regulated nervous system, clairs open. It just becomes a very simple way of doing it, but it does take this kind of repetitive pattern so that you can get there. So, the first time you do it, maybe I was spending like an hour in my sacred landscape, and then that maybe went down to half an hour, and then it was 20 minutes. And now, like I say, I drop into it within moments. And I know we don't all have the luxury of being able to go in there for an hour, but you may find as you use this and you start connecting with your guides, time just disappears. And it's such a beautiful place to be and explore, and to ask questions of our guides and to regulate our nervous system, really get in touch with where we're at, receiving messages. It's just such a beautiful tool. I've used it with my mediumship. I've used it with Reiki. You name it. If I'm wanting to visualize an outcome, I've used my sacred landscape to be able to, manifest things in my life. So you can add so much to this sacred landscape. And so this is just kind of giving you a nice foundational piece to start with. And I'll talk a little bit more about some of the ways that I use this at the end of today's call as well, when I talk a little bit more about the mentorship and how I'm teaching people to use this foundational piece a little bit more in depth. But we're just going to start with the foundation today. So within the sacred landscape, there are different tools that we're going to set up. We're going to have our sacred tree. We're going to have our swing to tap into, how our energy body is doing. We're going to create the element of water, because water really helps to amplify our connection to spirit. And what else? We're going to create archways and portals within there so that we can bring in new spirit guides, or we can bring in our dragons or loved ones that are across the veil, So we're going to create these archways and portals so that you can access and use those to connect with new guides that may not automatically be there when you go into your sacred landscape when we first begin. And that is one of the things that was really cool when I first started using this. I was connecting in with different guides, but I wasn't necessarily able to determine their energy and who was who. And they gave me this really cool structural pattern. So when I went in and I was kind of sitting, I've got this beautiful beach that I'm at, and I'm sitting on this checkered blanket. And then I noticed that all my guides placed themselves around me in a clock-like formation. And I'd already been noticing I would feel certain energies coming in different directions. But now within my sacred landscape, I was able to create like a language or a pattern. So I knew exactly, Yeshua sits at 5 o'clock. Claudia sits at my 11 o'clock, and so a lot of times when I would feel energy coming from this certain direction, or like I would hear something up here, or I would hear the information coming from my 5 o'clock, I was able to distinguish, that information is coming from that specific guide. And let me just kind of preface it. when we receive information from our guides, it is not necessary to know who it's coming from. The main thing we want to do is receive the message. That's the ultimate thing. But this is just kind of if we're curious and we have this curiosity of who it is and we want to know our guides on a personal level, this kind of gives us that opportunity to connect with them in this way. So for me, we created kind of this pattern. So every time I go in, my guides sit in exactly the same pattern. So that, and I'm not saying that will be the same for everybody, but that was part of how they created their language with me, a pattern that they created with me. Let's see what else I want to share here around that. And then as I was able to kind of figure out the placement of where my guides all were, from there I was able to begin to lean into, okay, this guide who is sitting at my 2 o'clock position. I'm like, I'd like all my other guides to step out of my field, and I'd like this guide to step in, right? To come close. And I really began to feel into their energy. What did they feel like? If you're clairsentient, you'll really what does that energy feel like? Is it warm? Is it a little bit more assertive? Is it playful? So then I kind of would get to know their energy. Then I would ask them, could you speak to me or give me your name? And I would just kind of wait. Some of them have and some of them have not. But I was able to just kind of okay, really get to know, focusing in on that one energy. Then you could lean into do they have a certain smell, or do I think of a certain taste that comes to mind? Or do I just clairaudiently know something about this guide? So I would take, knowing that I was asking this specific guide to come into my field. All my other guides, I asked them to step out of the field so that I could really focus in on what they wanted to share and become familiar with that energy. For some of you, this isn't something that has happened for me, but they may bring you a gift. They may present you with something. I'm going to use the example of they might present you with a cloak. And so anytime you're like, oh, I feel my cloak. Oh, I'm working with this specific guide. Or they may give you a symbol. If you see a certain symbol, oh, okay, now I know I'm working with this guide right now. Again, for me, it's more the energy, the side that they come in. For me, it's that clock. And that really helps me to immediately distinguish where they're coming or who's stepping into my field. But for each of you, it's going to be really symbolic to you. It's going to be something that's very unique to you. So I'm just giving you some examples of how that might show up. But this is something you're going to play with as you're using your sacred landscape to really begin to distinguish who your guides are and what energy they carry. So I had one guide who always sat at my 5 o'clock. I felt this energy of a blanket and of comfort. She never gave me her name. She never presented, so I never saw her in a form. I never saw her clairvoyantly. I only felt her energy. And so I named her Comfort because that's what I received. And she came to me when I was going through my divorce. And then after my divorce was over and kind of I'd moved through that season, she's not really there. She's one of the guides that's been a working guide that has come in to support me during that time, but she's not actively in my field right now. So I do want to, maybe some of you don't realize that we do have some guides that stay with us our entire lifetime. And then we do have some guides that are more working guides that will come in when we're working on something specific, and when that lesson or experience feels complete, they may move on. I've also had guides that have come in and they've stuck very, very close to me, and then they've disappeared for periods of time, and then they've come back again. So that can happen also. I can't fully answer why they're okay, no, they're correcting me. They're giving me the answer right now. They're saying that they do that because sometimes we can become too dependent on them, and they want us to move through an experience where we kind of begin to own what we're receiving ourselves versus being too dependent on them. And also sometimes them stepping aside, when the guides have come back, usually they'll come back in a little bit more same guide, but a little bit more unique form. So For those of you that know me, this was my experience with Isis. She was with me for about 13 years as Izzy. She went away for a year. She came back, exact same guide, exact same placement. Like, I knew her immediately. I'm like, oh, Izzy, you're back. And then she's like, she spoke very clearly and she says, yes, I'm back, but my true name is Isis and we have work to do. So exact same guide, but her energy had shifted. And so in that year, there's obviously something that I was moving through that she needed to step out so she could come back in a new form to support me. So I'm not saying she wasn't necessarily there, but she wasn't actively working with me at that time. So that's just an experience, again, that I've had with spiritual guides as well. I'm just going to touch on, for some of you that might not regularly be connecting with guides, that there's going to be 3 guides that you generally, I have seen over and over and over again with all my clients that we have. I'm going to reference them in placement because this is the way that they place for me. But you will have a gatekeeper guide. My gatekeeper guide sits on my left shoulder. My gatekeeper guide is the one who kind of helps to support my energetic body. It's the one that like is kind of holding the field. I think of it like my bodyguard. Right? Like it's that one that's like, no, let's not go in this direction. Like this frequency is not for you. Let's kind of shift you over here. You know, I always joke around. I call my guide Claudius, and he looks like a gladiator, like the typical gatekeeper guide. But you know, when I get some like haters coming into my world, I'll be like, Claudius, you're not doing your job. Like, come on. You know, I playfully work with him that way. But he kind of holds the field, and this is usually the guide that I see first for all of my clients. They're very strong, and I'm getting, thank you, ringing in my left ear right now. The next guide I'll speak to is the guide that sits behind me. I usually see them as very tall, very big beings. I'm going to call them your guardian angel. It does not mean that they are a guardian angel, but they have this frequency. They'll generally be much larger. They've got a brighter kind of light around them. I don't generally hear them speak, but they carry more of an energy. So mine is named Layla. She's very goddess, like she brings up power in me. She wants me to remember who I am. She wants me to remember my divinity. And so it's a very big energy, very supportive energy. My very first past life regression, she was the guide that came through, and I had this deep sense of remembrance. And so this guide comes in when you are born, like with you from the time you're born. I believe your gatekeeper guide and your spirit guide are also, all 3 of these are with you from the time that you were born. But there's just definitely this bigger kind of angelic presence to it. And I generally will always see it behind my clients. And then on my right side, I'll have my spirit guide. Now, my right side, my spirit guide, that guide actually sits more at my 5 o'clock. But this is the guide that will feel probably more personal. It's the guide that will feel like a friend, that knows you inside and out, knows you better than you know yourself. You might feel it like it's the one that just has the conversations about, oh, I see you doing this. How about we try this? Like it's much more of a conversational type of experience for me. And this guide will be very, very unique to everybody. You know, for some people, maybe that feels like it comes in as a loved one, or I often say it's likely not a loved one because they do come in with you from birth, and they will morph also to be like however you can receive them, right? But it's this guide that's going to have more of this real personal, they just know you, or like a best friend type of energy that they carry with you. So if everyone's like, I don't know if I have a spirit guide, I'm like, you have multiple spirit guides. I've never seen anybody with less than 3, right? So, but I personally think we work with many, many, many guides. It's just some of them will feel more strongly in our field than other times. So if we go into your sacred landscape today and you're like, wow, I'm really not sensing into a guide, I'm going to have you invite your gatekeeper guide in, just because this is the one that I do find I can access for most people first and foremost. Or maybe you're drawn specifically to one of those guides, then I invite you to invite them in if there's not somebody already there. But I'm going to walk you through all of this. So this is all about being playful and being curious. So for instance, if today nothing comes through for you, that's absolutely okay. We're just beginning to work with these frequencies. We're beginning to open up our clairs. We're beginning to work with our chakra system, all of these different things. And I just would encourage you to continue to be curious and allow yourself to use this modality a few times before you kind of give up on it. Because sometimes it is just kind of creating that safety and the trust in ourselves, but being in this really playful energy of it all. And then the other thing is, a lot of times people will be like, well, what if I'm making it up? Well, what Spirit has always said, well, what if you are? Your higher consciousness is bringing through the experience that you're needing in this moment to receive something you are needing to receive. So just be playful. Just allow yourself to be in your imagination. Like, that's what clairvoyance often is, like allowing your imagination to open up, to allow yourself to visualize things. And when we automatically go to, that can't be true, or I'm not sure if that's real, then we will shut that down quite quickly. So just encourage you, bring your inner child to the table here, be really playful and open with it. And then the other thing I'll say is, look for things that surprise you. So if something comes through and you're like, what the heck is that? I always love that, because Spirit loves to surprise us, loves to surprise us. So if you're like, there is no way I would have come up with that on my own, it's a really nice confirmation of being like, okay, that's Spirit coming through. So just allow yourself to be in that energy as well. And I promise you, the more that you use this, you'll be able to drop in with a lot of ease. And I just want to open up the floor for any questions before we move into the experience. The experience will be just under, probably around 20 to 30 minutes. And then I'll open up the floor for questions at the end as well. But before we go in, I just want to check in and see if there's any questions about anything I've shared so far. What was the title of the third guide? Okay, so I just call them my spirit guide. Or, you could name them whatever you would like. But so it's Gatekeeper, Guardian Angel, Spirit Guide. Those are not technical terms. It's just my reference to them. So you can call them whatever you like. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. All right, so you'll recognize as I take you through these different things, I'll kind of talk you through it, but you'll begin to see the patterns as we move through and be like, oh, that's what this is. So some of you have done this with me before, others, this might be brand new. So just enjoy, have fun, play, be curious, and just thank you for letting me take you on this journey. So I'll let you guys just relax. I'm going to have you close your eyes. For those, once we're in, if you would like to journal anything that you're receiving, you are welcome to. Opening your eyes is not going to take you out of the experience, but it's totally up to you how you would like to. If you just want to kind of move through it in an experiential way, or if you would like to kind of journal, you're welcome to do that as well. Just put some music on here. All right. Just begin connecting in with your breath. I want you to wiggle your toes. Feel the bottoms of your feet. Take a nice big belly breath. Feel that your belly expand. And on your exhale, just feeling that energy moving down your legs and out the bottoms of your feet. I want you to imagine now you've got these roots growing out of the bottoms of your feet. They're moving through the floor, through the subfloor, into the earth. Moving deeper and deeper. So deep they come upon a beautiful crystal cave. And you may see a very specific color or crystal. I want you to imagine your roots wrapping around that crystal, anchoring you down. We're going to use amethyst and rose quartz today, so beautiful violet and soft pink. Beginning to bring that frequency, that grounded frequency, up through those roots. Into the bottoms of your feet, moving up your legs. Feel it anchoring you down. So your body feels grounded, supported. And I just want you to focus about 30 centimeters above your head. This beautiful white light energy coming from source, coming down in this channel of light, moving through the crown, in through the top of your head, down your face, neck and shoulders. Everywhere this light is touching, your body relaxes. Feeling it moving into the upper chest, the upper back. Down your arms and out your fingertips. Breathing this light into your belly, your low back. Into your glutes and your pelvis. Feeling your legs relaxing. Feeling it move down your legs and out the bottoms of your feet. Feeling fully anchored in this beautiful pillar of white light. And now I want you to bring the color red to mind. And as you think of the color red, something positive that you're grateful for that represents the color red is going to come to mind. For me, that's champagne and strawberries. And I want you to picture that in your mind's eye. Just know that it's there. I want you to feel how you feel with this experience. For me to be tasting the strawberries, hearing the bubbles, smelling the sweetness, seeing the bright color red of the strawberry, and feeling a deep sense of love. Just breathe that in. Bring the color orange to mind. Something that you're deeply grateful for that would represent the color orange. Maybe it's a sunset or a campfire. I want you to hear it, smell it, taste it. Feel it and experience the color orange in your representation. Breathing in now the color yellow. Maybe that's a sunflower, bumblebee, a picnic. Maybe hear the buzzing of the bumblebees, smelling the flowers, seeing the brightness of the yellow or the warmth of the sun. Being in your experience of yellow. Breathing in now the color green. Hearing, feeling, smelling, tasting, experiencing the color green. Breathing in the color blue. Maybe that's the ocean, hearing the waves, feeling the sand under your toes, the birds calling, the waves crashing, smelling the salt air, feeling the warmth on your skin. Breathing in the color blue. Now breathing in the color purple. Hearing, smelling, feeling, tasting, and experiencing the color purple. Breathing in the color violet. Hearing, smelling, tasting, feeling, experiencing the color violet. And feeling yourself begin to drift now to the most beautiful place you can imagine in the world. The most beautiful place you've ever been. You feel yourself floating there now, gently landing in your sacred landscape. I want you to notice what's around you. I want you to feel what's under your feet. Is it grass, rocks, dirt? I want you to feel the air on your skin. I want you to notice how peaceful and safe you feel in this place. Take a moment and just turn your body around, looking at how expansive the space is. You'll notice there's a sacred tree. Take a moment and walk over to this tree. Place your hands on it, say hello. This sacred tree loves to help you transmute energy. Anything that's not serving you, you're welcome to use it at any time to support you in your energy body. On that tree, there's a swing, a rope swing. just take a seat on your swing. Just want you to notice when you get on it. Do you want to swing high? Are you a little bit less energetic? Are you hardly moving at all? And this swing is telling you how your actual energy body is feeling. Sometimes we tell ourselves that we're doing great and we get on our swing and we're hardly moving, which would mean we need to be gentle. Or the opposite can be true. We can think we're so tired and we're telling ourselves this story that we're so tired, and we get on our swing and we actually are flying high and recognizing, oh, I'm just telling myself stories right now. It's a beautiful tool to check in. Just getting off the swing now, knowing you can come back to it at any time. And you're going to hear a water source. Or maybe you see it, or you just know where it is. It could be a river, or a lake, or the ocean, or a waterfall. I want you just to begin moving your way towards that water source now. Really focus on the sound. Or picture it. Or you just maybe know where it is and find yourself there now. And near this water source is a beautiful place to sit and rest. You'll notice that there's room for more than just you. It could be a picnic blanket in the sand. It could be an outdoor table, comfy chairs. And I just want you to go and take a seat. Feel how comfortable and relaxed and at home you feel in this place. And you're going to notice now in front of you, there's an archway or a portal. On the frame of this portal archway, this beautiful crystals, white and gold and sparkly. And this is the portal that you can invite your spirit team to come through. For some of you, I see it in a tree. The archway is in a tree. For some of you, it's a little bit more off in the distance. For some of you, it's right there. And for some of you, you don't even need the archway. Your guides are already there with you. But I want you to invite now your spirit team to come through. And as they step through this archway, you know, or you see, or you feel that they come through in this beautiful clearing light. Only what is for your highest good and highest good alone is allowed to step through. You may see a group come through. You may get a number or a knowing of the energies that are coming through. For some of you, dragons are coming through. You might need to make that archway a little bit bigger. For some of you, it's your star being guides. For some, it might be one. For some, it might be a reunion. just want you to invite whoever is there with you to take a seat with you or to stand around you. I just want you to notice where they place themselves around you. Just take a moment to thank them for being here. There's a knowing that they've been with you all along. They're so excited to connect with you in this way. I'm going to have you choose just one guide for today's experience to come forward, and all the other guides, we're just going to ask you to step back for a moment so we can focus in on this one guide. Notice where their energy is around your body. Notice what you see. What do they look like? Is there an outline? Does it feel big, small, masculine, feminine, neutral? Maybe they speak to you and you hear their voice. Is it low pitched? Is it high? Do you get ringing in your ears? Do you feel a sensation anywhere in your body? We're just asking this guide to begin to create a personal language with you so that you can interpret their energy, their messages. Or do you simply just know something about this guide? Is it super chatty? Is it more reserved? Ask them to show you their personality. Are they funny, playful? And now, ask them how they serve you. What is your relationship to them? How do they like to communicate with you? And finally, is there any message that they would like to share with you today? And thanking them. They're very grateful that you're creating this space to connect with them, knowing that they will be here waiting for you whenever you return to your sacred landscape. They're here to serve and support and to love without judgment. And just inviting all your guides to step back forward, allowing you to feel their support and their presence around you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. one more moment to look around your sacred landscape. Feel yourself beginning to float back up towards your rainbow. Begin breathing in the color violet. Breathing in the color purple. Noticing your breath as you breathe in the color blue, coming back into your body. Breathing in the color green, maybe beginning to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. Breathing in the color yellow, feeling yourself fully landing back in your body. Breathing in the color orange, maybe you move your head from side to side, wiggle your shoulders. And breathing in the color red, fluttering your eyes open, coming back to the space, fully aware, fully awake, feeling wonderful all over. Just gently beginning to bring yourself back to the room. I'm just going to speak as you guys are waking up and coming back to the space. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how I use the sacred landscape in mentorship. So this is a very foundational tool, and within Mystic Mentorship, we then expand on this tool, working with our guides in a deeper way. Like I said earlier, using this tool to manifest, using it to call in abundance, using it to connect with our guides, learning how to connect with other people's energy bodies as well, learning to connect into the collective consciousness, receiving information, developing our psychic abilities. It's all kind of created around this foundational piece. And within Mystic Mentorship, not only do we use this tool, but we begin to kind of evolve with your intuition into other areas as well. We begin to work within the Akashic Records. We are using oracle cards. I'm channeling guidance. We begin to use light language for myself and many of my clients. Their light language activates as well. And so these are some of the ways that mentorship is helping you to develop in your multisensory or mystical gifts. Within the mentorship, we're meeting bi-weekly so that we have this consistent way of connecting in. So as you're evolving, you have this consistent support. And then there's WhatsApp voice support as well. So as you're moving through your journey, you have access to me all of the time. And a beautiful gift around that is, I've had clients who will wake up from like having an experience of astral traveling, or something has come through and they're like, what was that? Is it real? And they can immediately get onto, WhatsApp support with me and ask me the questions, and I can help to interpret what their experience was, or tell them a little bit more about what I'm receiving, channeling for them around the experience that they had. And a lot of times that really helps the realness of it to land, because often when we move through these experiences on our own, it can be like, was that real? Like, was that actually something? Was that a spirit guide, or am I just making it up? And it's so nice to have somebody there to support you in your journey. And it really amplifies our growth in our giftings when we can have someone there to support us. This is something I think about when my light language activated, and how much I wish I had a mentor who could have asked the gazillion and one questions that were coming up around what was going on for me. And I kind of had to move through this experience on my own. And it really makes me understand the value of having a mentor, because it just supports us in our growth. And if I'd had somebody who could have walked me through that, I feel like I could have moved through that experience and integrated that experience so much quicker. One of the beautiful things I'm seeing now is my clients' light languages coming online, and they immediately can send me voice notes, or we can get on a call and I can hear their light language and support them, and being able to like translate for them, and to be able to tell them, you know, what dialect they're speaking or what star lineage it is. And it's really beautiful to be able to support them in this way, in a way that I wish that I also had. Within Mystic Mentorship, we also have you have access to all of my programs. So right now there's the Living Temple and Living in the Light. And this really helps also because you're in a collective of other people that are on their journeys. And it really, again, helps to amplify your growth as you kind of move through, and connecting you in more deeply with the soul remembrance and your giftings. So the Living Temple, I am running live. Some of you guys have been in the last cohort, and I am running the next live cohort in September. And this is a 12-week journey of really accessing your soul or spiritual DNA. We work through the 12 chakra system, as well as activating the 12 layers of the Ka body. And then we're working with the Lyra Sophia Council of Light, which is 12 very unique spiritual guides. So that will be Isis, Mary Magdalene, Mary Mother of Jesus, Yeshua, Dragon Energy, Sekhmet. Did I say Isis? Anna, Grandmother of Jesus, your star being guides, your Akashic guides, Sophia, like the Christos consciousness, and the golden Christ dragon. Such a beautiful team that comes online to support you, and then integrating this beautiful Christ consciousness, or this embodiment of unity consciousness, wholeness. And there's many, many beautiful things that I have watched the collective move through, going through this experience. Some of them light language activating, being able to, many of them are seeing those geometric shapes, understanding geometric shapes. Metatron, Archangel Metatron came in, bringing in the shapes. And that was something that was unique. We didn't expect that to come in. And that was a really fascinating experience to see. People beginning to connect with their new guides, connecting with the dragon energy, discovering their own personal dragons. We had a lot of ancestral clearing, but not only ancestral clearing, but also bringing forward gifts from our ancestors. Because often we think about clearing things, but not recognizing the gifts that can come forward. Lots of access to soul remembrance and bringing forward gifts that we've used. Many of us have been healers, mystics, oracles in past lives, or even things simple as being, I know one of my past lives, I was a speaker. I was able to speak beautifully. I was magnetic in this past life, and bringing people together, and being able to bring that frequency forward into this lifetime. So we move through lots of past life experiences as well, and allowing you to access that part of yourself. And visibility blocks dissolving, so many visibility blocks dissolving. And this journey is not an easy journey. There's lots of anger, there's lots of emotion that comes up as we move through this, but what it's doing is it's taking us to another layer, so that we can heal parts of ourselves, so that we can really begin to access that higher vibrational, or 5D, or our divine essence, our divine light. We can say it in so many different ways. And when we come to this place, the result is moving through the world in a different way. There's more inner peace, there's more awe, the beautiful connection to all. I know for so many of the last cohort, the connection to nature and the consciousness of nature in a whole new way of being able to connect. So that was a really beautiful thing they moved through as well. Sekhmet is a powerful goddess energy that comes through, that lights the fire, that divine feminine fire within us, to say like, hey, I'm going to speak my truth. I'm not going to stand for this anymore. I'm going to create the boundaries that I need so that I can move forward with my giftings. And that is another powerful one, is like accessing our soul blueprint of understanding our mission and our purpose here. And that really landing in a new way that's unique to each of us. We each have this beautiful, unique blueprint. And then as we connect in with our star lineage, understanding our blueprint, why we are part of this star lineage to come in, and how it's supporting us in this lifetime as well. So beautiful, beautiful transformations happening within the Living Temple. And then Living in the Light is another program I'm working with 6 of these divine guides: Isis, Mary Magdalene, Yeshua, Dragon Energy, and Mary Mother of Jesus. And in Living in the Light, It's beginning, there's a lot more soul remembrance that is coming in that program. And all of the people in the last cohort was able to connect with their dragon guides as well, which was really fun. And most people move through living in the light and then they've gone into the living temple. So I bring that all forward to let you guys know for the pre-sale launch for the next Living Temple that starts in September. I am offering 50% off, so it's going to be $1,111 for the pre-sale, and then there is going to be the bonus of getting Living in the Light for free, or if you've moved through Living in the Light, you will have access to a one-on-one session with me. And this is going to be available until the end of July, and then I will be launching it to the public, and then that's when that pre-sale price will no longer be available. So if you guys are interested or you have questions, feel free to ask them here, or you can reach out to me. I know many of you will be listening to this on a replay, so definitely feel free to reach out. Thank you for letting me share that. And now I just want to open up the floor if there's any questions around your experience, or if you want to share anything about your experience with your spirit guides. I'm going to open up the floor here. And you're welcome to put it in the chat as well.
Yeah, I'll just ask a question. You always do such a beautiful job of creating such a just a really deep space to go. And I find that I'll go really deep, and I just came in and out um, a bit as you were taking us through. And I noticed specifically when we got to actually working with the guides, I don't know where I was. I know something happened. I don't know where I went. And then I came back. So if you want to speak to that, that would be great.
For sure. Okay, so you've worked with me a fair amount, Jessica. So you are so attuned to my voice, and I could see you. I'm like, oh, she's going full into trance here right
Yeah,
now.
I was. I
And
was
so
like,
I was like, okay, so for if the people that have worked with me know, like they'll go beyond the alpha brainwave state and they'll go kind of into the theta, which is the trance state. And when you're in the trance state, deep work is happening. So I love that for you. And in this specific experience, we are wanting to connect very deeply with our guides. And so that's the intention here. So the next time you do this, what I'm going to encourage you to do is to have a pen in your hand and have a piece of paper. And it's like maybe you need to kind of keep, as you're moving through the experience, maybe you need to write something, like we're trying to keep you in that space of being able to like stay a little bit more active. And then so maybe as you're moving through, you're writing down, what does the color, red represent to you? Like just to help you move through that experience. And then if that doesn't work, hopefully if you can remember the experience, don't do it with my voice. Try doing it on your own, like moving through the experience on your own, because it's something about my voice that is putting you into that hypnotic state, which is beautiful. Such deep work happens there. But in this instance, you're like, no, I really want to get to know my guides. So that's what I would suggest. And then write out, where you see the placement of your guides or things like just journal your experience. And again, if that doesn't work, hopefully if you're listening, you'll be able to, or take notes of the experience so that you kind of like, okay, then I'm going to go through it on my own. And then if you're doing it on your own, you'll likely allow yourself to stay in a more alert state. So you're in alpha and not right into theta.
yeah, I could feel it. And I was like, oh no, there I go again. And then like I could almost, it was like feeling myself flying into something. And then I was gone. And I noticed like a tingling. This one guide, I was like, oh, I noticed this tingling in one spot. That's all I remember.
Okay.
So, okay, I
Yeah.
love the thought of having a pen or something and not using your voice. I think you're right. Because especially after all the work we just did in the Living Temple, I
Yeah.
think I'm almost keyed to go super deep when I hear your voice in that way. So,
Yes. I'm not sure how to, I think it's just something about staying more conscious. And then the other thing that just your guides are saying is that if you'd like to, you could just kind of move into focus on that tingle and where that was. And then you could say, please express to me what's in my highest good about that experience. And then, or after this session, you could sit down with a journal and just say, please express to me what's in my highest good about this specific experience and allow yourself to automatic write. So pen to paper and just start writing, and you may find you'll just, or if you do this again, do that same thing, and you may just be able to move into fully like channeling what your experience was without having actually been in the experience or consciously
Okay.
being in the experience.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Okay, Brandy said, I had the same experience. I went out and came back in places at the end, ended up in the same place that I've spoken to you about before. Okay, and that's beautiful. Many of you might already have a place you go to connect with your guides, and that is beautiful. You've already created that. What you may want to do is use that same rainbow to take you to the place you already go, because Spirit has already gifted you with a place to work with your spiritual team. So this could just be adding to that practice. And then when you do that, it's more about raising the vibration, putting yourself into that relaxed alpha brainwave state, regulated nervous system, and opening up the clairs. So when you land in your sacred space, this is why I call it my sacred landscape. What does that look like for you? For some of you, that's going to be in the cosmos. I know many of you that work more so in the cosmos. Others love to float in water, right? And that's going to be their place. So this is just kind of giving you a framework, but allow it to take you wherever that place is. And then it's that consistency of going back to that same place. So if you've been gifted a place, you don't need to replace it with this. Go where Spirit takes you. So I hope that's supportive, Brandy. And again, if you, this is just giving you that practice of, for those of you, like if you can instantly connect in with your guides, then you don't necessarily need this. We're all going to have our different ways of doing it. But for me, there's times like, and I'm in my channel all the time, but there's certain days I'm like, I can't get there. So I will use this practice when I'm like, no, I really want to connect, but I need just a little bit more of a pathway to get in there. And I would say 99% of the time it works for me. So it's just another thing in your tool belt to connect with your spirit guides. All right. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for being here. If you're watching the replay, feel free to respond to me by email, or you can find me on Instagram and you can DM me. I would love to hear about your experiences, or if you have any questions that have come up, or if you want to tell me about the guides that you were able to meet. I would love to hear. So thank you, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Okay, you're so welcome. Bye-bye.